guys, just come to sit. Can you sit here? Right, can you hear us okay? I'm out of vision. Hello. I can? Yes, thank you, loud and clear. Thank you.
Yeah, you can join. Sorry.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Good. Good. Sorry. I've got it under my lens card.
I'll tell you. When all the players are out, I'll tell you, guys. Who's out there who's coming. Right, 10 players we're looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There'll be 8 outfield.
Is it your gallery? Is it there?
7, 8. That's 8. That's all on them. Right, Vic, it's Rob. Yeah, they're out, mate. We're ready when you are. 10 players training, 2 of them goalkeepers.
In the night?
One is only got one end. One end. Huh? One in. One end. Yes. I'll just stay out of vision, Vic, so you can come in when you like, mate. Okay, pal. Yeah, well look, you timed it beautifully actually, Hayley, because it was biblical rain up until about 30 seconds ago, and it's just stopped as the players have come out. So that gives you a level of understanding of what England's preparations and planning is like, isn't it? Gareth Southgate can command the weather now. Listen, after last night's performance and result, he probably thinks he can do that right now. It was an extraordinary moment, wasn't it, when Jude Bellingham scored that overhead kick. I mean, look, I was saying that I think you have to put that moment in English football up there alongside some of the great goals and the great moments in recent decades. You think of David Platt's volley in Italia 90 against Belgium. You think of Gazza's volley against Scotland in Euro 96. You think of Michael Owen's wonder goal against Argentina in the World Cup as well. It's that level that I think was there last night. But look, let's show you what the players are doing, because I think they're all pretty exhausted and shell-shocked by the sheer emotion of it, even those players who didn't play a part. And that's what you've got out there today. 10 players out on the training field with England, all those that didn't feature last night, and some of those that featured a little bit. 2 of the goalkeepers, Jordan Henderson and Aaron Ramsdale. You've got Ollie Watkins, Lewis Dunk, Joe Gomez, Luke Shaw, Adam Wharton, Jared Bowen, Anthony Gordon, Conor Gallagher and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So yes, relief, because I think, look, for me, I'll be honest, I think it was probably England's worst performance in the tournament so far. But you've got to give real credit to the character and the ability of Jude Bellingham to score that goal. But then it was such a shambolic England formation that we had in extra time, because Gareth Southgate had thrown the kitchen sink at Slovakia to try and get that equaliser, that you've got to give them a lot of credit, I think, for the way they held out after Harry Kane scored after 50 seconds at the start of extra time to win the game and see it out when, you know, in extra time they had 4 wingers on the pitch. One of them, Abere Eze, was playing left back. We had 2 strikers up front in Ivan Toney and Harry Kane, which Gareth Southgate hasn't used as a formation for years. So, you know, shambolic in terms of formation, but they got through the game, and you just wonder what that might do for England going forward from here. Will it galvanise? Will that be the moment that, you know, we look back on and say that was a turning point for England? That was the moment, that goal from Jude Bellingham and deep into injury time. That was that bit of luck, that bit of special, you know, occasion that saw them go on and win the trophy. I think it'll be really interesting to see how they respond very few of the players out there today. The rest of them are doing their own recovery sessions. They're indoors and they'll be rehabilitated from all of those exertions. They got back to the camp here in Blankenheim after flying back at about 1 a.m. and so they have to recover. Tomorrow will be a closed training session, so we won't see the players then. There's no media activity. It's a proper blackout day for England tomorrow, so I think they're going to take stock, recover from the emotional and the physical exertion of 120 minutes and the flight back, all of the emotional draining that they've had, and then look to go again and prepare specifically tactically for a massive quarter-final against Switzerland in Dusseldorf on Saturday. Yeah, listen, the manager said to ITV Sport, I think, after the game that Ivan Toney didn't want to come on the 94th minute. There were literally seconds left of normal time. He didn't see the point, but Southgate thought he could throw him on and, quote, cause some chaos. And he did exactly that, and it worked brilliantly after 50 seconds in extra time, didn't it? Because it was Ivan Toney's, I don't know if it was his first touch in major international football, but certainly his first major involvement was to flick that header on for Harry Kane to score what proved to be England's winner. And look, I thought Ivan Toney made a big impact. It's almost unthinkable that Harry Kane could be dropped. He scored 2 goals in 2 games in the knockout stages. I'm sure Gareth Southgate will stick with him. He's England's greatest ever goal getter. But he has been dropping deep. He has been criticised by some pundits for dropping deep. He hasn't got the same energy levels, I think, that he's shown for Bayern Munich all season. And when Ivan Toney came on, I felt he was England's target man, proper number 9, held the ball up brilliantly, won some free kicks on the halfway line when England were desperately clearing the ball, which relieved so much of the pressure. And so I thought Ivan Toney was very impressive last night, and it'd be interesting to see whether he plays more of a part against Switzerland on Saturday. Cole Palmer isn't out there, of course, because he came on the pitch as a substitute, so he'll be having his rehabilitation session. But again, he showed an impact, and there were a lot of fans calling for Cole Palmer to play before the game, and he didn't get that chance from the start. Gareth Southgate has stuck very faithfully to the vast majority of his starting 11, hasn't he? He's tweaked the midfield on each occasion, and so I think that's really interesting. You can see Conor Gallagher there in the middle of that little rondo that they're playing, and we spoke to him after the game last night, and he said he's never been involved in a game anything like it. It's an extraordinary occasion. But he talked about the character in the side and just how important that was to get over the line, and how important that might be for England going forward from here. But you just wonder about Conor Gallagher's mindset a little bit, don't you? Because he bided his time, he waited for his opportunity, he kept coming on for Trent Alexander-Arnold in the early parts of the group games, and then he got his chance in the 3rd group game against Slovenia and was substituted at half-time because Gareth Southgate felt that there wasn't enough control over the ball in the middle of the midfield. He brought Kobbie Mainoo on in his place, and suddenly Conor Gallagher gets thrown into the chaos of last night in extra time to try and stiffen that England midfield. And I thought he did well, to be fair, in the time that he was on, but you just wonder what's going through his mind at a first major tournament. It must be an awful lot for him to take in. But yeah, a lot for Gareth Southgate to ponder in terms of possible changes. I think the first thing he's got to do is assess the walking wounded, because we saw Kieran Trippier limp off the pitch. We know he's been struggling with a calf injury. He got a real battering again last night. And of course he started each of England's 4 games so far, when he told me before the tournament and throughout the tournament he's still building that sharpness. Can Southgate ask him to go again? I think the good news from his perspective and from Gareth Southgate's perspective is that they have a 6-day gap between that last 16 win in Gelsenkirchen and the quarter-final against Switzerland in Dusseldorf on Saturday. They won't do much today. I think it might be a bit of a rest day tomorrow as well. I think Southgate will give the players time to recover before they look to plan to go again. That big gap is the last gap they'll get, even if they go all the way to the final. There won't be another gap like this. The games come thick and fast from the quarter-final stages onwards. So rest, recovery is what today and tomorrow are probably all about. Yes, it absolutely is, and you can see Lewis Dunk and Joe Gomez are out there now. Look, I don't think it'll be either of those. I think it'll be almost certainly Ezri Konsa who comes into the middle of England's defence in truth. I think he's been first choice replacement for anybody in the defence, should they be missing any of the key names. And Gay is a big miss. Look, I think he's been England's best and most consistent player throughout this tournament. I think England's defence has been brilliant, you have to say. Only conceded one goal in the group stages, yes, conceded last night, but I think the England defence has performed very, very well. And Mark Gay has marshalled that England defence incredibly well. And so, how to replace him is a tall order. Ezri Konsa's played a lot for England right across the back line, left back, right back, and centre back. In the friendlies building up to this tournament, against Belgium and Brazil he featured as well, and he's had a brilliant season for Aston Villa. So there is Gareth Southgate, and you just wonder what he's thinking. I'm pretty confident that his mind is turned to Ezri Konsa in the absence of Mark Gay. But England will definitely miss Gay's calm, his positional sense, his ability on the ball, his calmness on the ball, the way he's marshalled that England defence and worked incredibly well, built a really good understanding with John Stones, who incidentally I bumped into in the mix zone last night as he was walking past, and he blew his cheeks out to me and went, "Whew, that was fun, wasn't it?" So I think even with his experience, he's never seen anything like what England went through last night. And again, I just think it's a key moment for England now. I'm writing a piece on scoutboard.com talking about this, as Gareth Southgate goes into his 100th game in charge of England. What does he do now? Does he try and pounce on this incredible moment that Jude Bellingham created for the nation last night, this memorable, mesmeric moment? And can they build some confidence and some momentum from there after what has been a very lacklustre tournament for them otherwise? I think the only way they can do that is by making significant changes. I think Southgate has to change his game plan, he has to change his personnel. Switzerland are a better side than Slovakia. They've knocked out the holders Italy, they've looked good in the group stages. It's a real test for England this quarter-final. And I think Gareth Southgate has to look at his options out there and go, look, let's be honest, the plan hasn't worked, it's time for plan B. Well, look, I really feel for Luke Shaw. Look, he's out there now training, and he's desperate to get out on the pitch. He's worked so hard. He joined up with England very early so he could try and prove his fitness and get back. Gareth Southgate admitted when he selected him in the 26-man squad that it was a gamble. Well, look, it's a gamble that hasn't quite worked, has it? Let's be honest. If Luke Shaw hasn't played any football in this tournament, and we're now at the quarter-final stages, can he be thrown in from the start? Look, I think there are real question marks over Kieran Trippier. As I say, we saw him hobble off. We saw a Berriese playing at left back at one stage. Such was England's kind of scattergun approach to trying to get back into the game. I think it would be a tall order to throw Luke Shaw, who hasn't played any football since mid-February, into a quarter-final, the intensity of that. They never do that at club football because there's a risk of him picking up other injuries. He's been out for so long, it was supposed to be a staged return to football. He was supposed to maybe get 10 minutes in the second group game, maybe half an hour in the third group game. None of that's happened, he hasn't even played in the last 16. I can't see how Gareth Southgate could put Luke Shaw in. It would be a huge gamble if he did that. I think it's much more likely that he'll look elsewhere, assuming Trippier isn't fit, but that's what the England medics will be trying to assess over the next couple of days. Haley, we haven't got many minutes left until the England cameras are turned off, and so let me talk briefly about Anthony Gordon that you've got there in the background, because I think a lot of people want to see him out on the England side. Makes a big impact, and for me England have been very narrow in the whole of this tournament. Kyle Walker at right back is the only person playing in position for his favoured foot. He's right-footed, he's playing right back. The left back, the left wing, the right wing are all players that like to cut in field because that's their natural foot. Anthony Gordon can take on whoever's playing right back for Switzerland, beat them, get in behind with his pace, with his direct thinking. Look, you wonder what's going through his mind because, of course, we know that Liverpool are interested in signing him, and I think that is playing on his mind. You wonder what, for a young player like that, how much that's affecting him emotionally right now. How much is he able to focus on England and what's going on here? Newcastle, of course, resisting any bids to try and buy him and desperate to keep him, but he'll know exactly what's going on there. And I just wonder when people say, Gareth Southgate's got to throw Anthony Gordon on. Maybe we don't know what's going on behind the scenes and where Anthony Gordon's head is right now. I've interviewed him a couple of times, he's desperate to play. He wants the opportunity. There's Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank giving him a nudge look. probably knows we're talking about it. It's nice to see them messing about like that because, I say, it's a bit of a tough time for Jordan, I think. But if England can get him on the pitch and get some width, get some pace, get him behind Switzerland, they may look a lot more dangerous. We'll spend much more time, won't we, over the coming days talking about England's plans, Gareth Southgate's options, what Gareth Southgate might do to prepare for Switzerland and this massive quarter-final game against Dusseldorf on Saturday. But listen, we won't hear from him today. I think we'll get to speak to Jordan Tickford shortly. I think that's who the FA are can coming up for us today. There weren't any plans to do